Welcome everyone to Bournemouth. It's been a while since we were here, and isn't it good to be back? And despite the predictions from the usual quarters, oh boy, are we back! I can now confirm that we have record numbers of members at this conference and the largest ever number of new members attending. Give yourselves a clap. Lib Dem Fight Back started at midnight on Thursday the 7th of May, and it just goes on and on. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm determined that this conference is going to show the outside world that we are still an active and vibrant party fighting for the rights of the individual wherever and whoever they are. And we have to continue holding back the powers of vested interests, whether that's a Tory government, global business, or despotic states imposing their will and violence on people. Fellow Liberal Democrats, politics is a peculiar old game. The old Chinese proverb of "may you live in interesting times" seems to be very much with us at the moment. And by us, I mean the political world, not just the Lib Dems. All the traditional positions of the parties have been thrown up in the air, and now seems to be a good time to review where we stand for. So like you, I have been thinking about why I'm a Liberal, and more specifically, a Liberal Democrat. And for that, I have to go right back to my childhood. Confession time. I grew up in a Tory household. Do you know, it's funny, I've said that at smaller meetings. I think that's the first time I've got a hiss. It wasn't my fault. And actually, after I grew up, my father even became a Conservative MP, so he was a pretty committed Tory household. Politics were often discussed, and I knew even then that I didn't agree with the Conservatives. I didn't like a world in which some people felt it was their right to rule and who weren't interested in those less fortunate than themselves. But I also knew that I wasn't Labour. With the amazing diversity of people around us, there could never be just one way to do things, especially when that way involved going backwards. Nationalisations, instinctively anti-progress and anti-reform, we see it with Labour even today, going back to the 70s and 80s, and they were just as staid as the Tories. Now, even then, I saw that both the Conservatives and Labour parties are authoritarian. They tell us what we, the people, must do. They like the state run by the few to hold power. Now, we Liberal Democrats take a very different approach. We believe that power should always be with individuals wherever possible, and where not, kept as close to them as it can be. Now, it was a Joe Grimond policy that caught my eye in the late 1960s. The Liberals wanted employees to be stakeholders in businesses that they worked in, whether some shares in a private company or working for cooperatives and mutuals. And it seemed to me as a teenager that it offered people the chance to have a say in how their organisation worked and to share in the rewards and profits. Well, conference, it took a long time, but I am incredibly proud that Vince Cable and Joe Swinson were able, in coalition government, to make it easier for co-ops and mutuals to be set up. And if that was a slightly esoteric, egg-heady policy for a teenager to be interested in, the one that absolutely made me, and still makes me, a Liberal is equality. I was deeply shocked by apartheid in South Africa, which was the worst public face of inequality in those times. What happened in South Africa then was just wrong. Now, it wasn't popular initially, but it was the young Liberals who forced the pace of that debate. My parents ground their teeth when I asked where the oranges came from. No Cape Oranges on my plate. So when I worked at the BBC a few years later in the mid-70s, a group of us would go down every Friday lunchtime with our sandwiches to demonstrate outside South Africa House. That tradition of standing up to wrong stays with us Liberal Democrats. In 1999, Paddy Ashdown fought for the right of refugees from Hong Kong to come here after it returned to Chinese control. And Charles Kennedy led us in opposition to Tony Blair's and Labour's illegal war in Iraq. And today, in 2015, I am so proud of Tim's public stance shaming the Tory government on their disgraceful response to the refugee crisis. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When Tim visited Calais early in August, I was also in France, further south. French friends of ours, who we see every year, were deeply impressed that he was the first UK politician to visit the dreadful jungle camp. One of those friends is the recently retired deputy mayor of a northern French city, whose opinion of British politicians had been extremely low, and thought that Tim had made a vitally important statement that day. And it was so important, of course, that others followed his example, including Labour leadership candidates and then ministers. But it took a Lib Dem to make it clear that this was a humanitarian problem and not a swarm. So Tim, thank you for your great leadership and for showing what it is to be a Lib Dem. But do you know what? He can't do it all on his own. And nor can our brilliant parliamentarians and councillors. They can't just spread the word on their own. And nor can you on your own, and the many new members here and those of us a bit longer in the tooth tonight. We Liberal Democrats need more of you and more of us. Do you know, if every member here tonight persuades just one more person a month to join us, by next September, we will be getting very close to Tim's 100,000 target. And we do need more members. The coming year is so important. We have vital elections in Wales under the leadership of the amazing Kirsty Williams. And in Scotland, where our teams are led by the only person who can hold the SNP to account, Willie Rennie. And in London, that instinctively liberal city with our own outstanding mayoral candidate, Caroline Pidgeon. But there are many more, because in local government across England and Wales, where our many recent victories have been in by-elections, they're showing that Lib Dem fight back is already a reality. But next year, we have to face the EU referendum. Now, with Jeremy Corbyn's election, we are now the only party that is truly, madly, deeply committed to Europe, working with others to improve it, to make it more effective and more democratic. We understand we are better working together rather than sitting on the outside. We Liberal Democrats have to be the flag bearers in our local areas, talking to people we know about why the UK must remain in Europe. And when I say we know, I mean each of you know. I don't mean people I know or people Tim knows. We will need to use guerrilla tactics to beat the money and the mad stories of UKIP and the Eurosceptic Tories. And we need to start right now. So please, if you feel strongly about Europe and share our vision for a liberal Britain, tell the people you know and get them to join the most united and exciting political party in the UK. because each and every one of you are Lib Dem Fight Back. Thank you. Conference has only been going this afternoon, but we've already talked a lot about new members, and we are delighted to have so many of them here tonight. But one of them is going to come and talk to us. So please give a huge, warm conference welcome to one of our newest members from Bristol. Please welcome Amy Stewart.
And thank you very much, Sal. If someone had told me 6 months ago that I'd be standing in front of a room full of people and talking about why I'm a Liberal Democrat, I imagine my reaction would be a mixture of incredulity and utter terror. I would be lying if I said either part of that has really changed, but what has is my interest in politics and, of course, my involvement in the party. At the beginning of this year, my politics probably closely reflected that of the average 19-year-old. I didn't really understand what was going on, but of course, as a responsible young person, I'd be voting Green. From time to time, the odd hilarious Ed Miliband video would spike my interest in Labour, but essentially I remained unengaged and uninterested. I remember clearly, though, the day when that changed. I was being uncharacteristically helpful by carrying out the daily household ritual of throwing a wad of political pamphlets straight into the recycling, when I glanced at the back of one. The Liberal Democrats will invest £3.5 billion in mental health care, it proclaimed. And I thought, wow, this party is making a priority out of something that affects me and millions of other people, but that other parties barely even touch on. And I was so excited about that I went online and I realized how much of what this party was saying resonated with me. This was a party passionate about the NHS, about education, about social mobility, and about personal freedoms. Now, I will hold my hands up and say I didn't even attempt to read the full manifesto, but I liked what I heard, and over the next weeks in the run-up to May, I became more and more excited about the party, more passionate about their ethos, and I frenziedly tried to convince my friends that actually the Liberal Democrats are the party for young people. Eventually, polling day arrived. On May the 7th, I excitedly cast my vote for the first ever time, full of optimism for the result. By 5:45 a.m. the next day, you can imagine my optimism had waned slightly. I was more than a little shell-shocked in work that day, not merely because I'd managed to get there by 8 o'clock, but because the result none of us had imagined was now reality. And at that point, I realized that, fun as it is, tweeting selfies with Lib Dem diamonds didn't actually win elections, and it wasn't going to help us to fulfill much of our manifesto. As I watched Nick's tear-jerking speech, that I'm sure a lot of you guys watched as well, one phrase stuck out at me. Liberalism has lost, but it is more precious than ever. So on May the 8th, I made a decision, and one made like all the best decisions on 1 hour's sleep, to join the Liberal Democrats. No doubt I'm not alone among new members in wishing that I'd got my act together before the election, because I can honestly say joining the party has been one of the best decisions I've made. It's been such a It's been such a pleasure to meet so many people who share my beliefs and passions, although I have learned it's an error to suggest any two Lib Dems could fully agree on anything, and to be able to campaign on loads of things that really matter to me. This first day of conference has been totally surreal, never mind making the speech, and I can only express my gratitude to the organisers and to my local party in Bristol, and for you for putting up with me for 3 minutes. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. It now gives me great pleasure to welcome our mayoral candidate for London, Caroline Pidgeon. Thank you very much.
Well, conference, it's great to be here in Bournemouth, and what a fabulous start to conference. And as if listening to Amy's speech wasn't enough to make me feel old, and what a fantastic speech it was, I've counted up, and next year will be my 25th as a member of the Liberal Democrats. So you can all buy me a Silver Jubilee drink in the bar later. 25 years working to build and safeguard a fair, free and open society in which we seek to balance the fundamental values of liberty, equality and community. That preamble to our Constitution, those words go to the heart of why I'm instinctively a Liberal Democrat and why I joined our party. You know, I knew I didn't want the state poking around in my life or dictating what my friends and family did with theirs. But I knew too that if you're an environmentalist, an internationalist, a feminist, you can't expect results without some way for society to act together. Now, in all the years I've been a member of the party, I don't think I've ever felt so gutted as on the morning of May the 8th this year. To lose so many wonderful MPs was crushing, just as it was seeing so many councillors defeated in the years before. But one of the things that makes us Liberal Democrats is that our energy never fails us for long. The tenacity of our members, our determination to keep fighting for a liberal society. And that's what makes me really proud to be leading the London campaign for next year's Mayor and Assembly elections. And in the capital, the Lib Dem fight back has already begun. Those short months since the election have seen us take the fight to Labour in Haringey, and our great teams have won 3 by-elections against the Conservatives. So in Sutton, where Councillor Steve Cook is flying the Lib Dem flag in Wallington South, and in Kingston, where Councillor John Tolley trounced the Tories, increasing our majority 50 times over from just 18 votes to nearly 900. And in Twickenham, in a ward we have never, ever held before, Councillor Geraldine Locke snatched her seat straight out of Tory hands. You know, our London campaigners have clocked up a remarkable record in 4 remarkable months. Please give all our by-election teams a big round of applause. Thank you. Now, London has been my home now for more than 2 decades, and it's a remarkable and fundamentally liberal city, a place which lives those values which get us out of bed, a fair, free, and open society, a world in which all people share the same basic rights, rejection of prejudice and discrimination. These are all second nature to the vast majority of Londoners. And yet, we've had a Conservative mayor for 8 years, and an authoritarian Labour one for the 8 years before that. And you know, as mayor, Boris has been so busy penning his next biography and writing in the Telegraph, he hasn't time to think about London's housing crisis. He's wasted hundreds of thousands of pounds on 3 water cannon, which even Theresa May agrees with us would undermine policing by consent. The fact is one of the world's greatest cities is stuck with a mayor whose eye is just on number 10. And yet, after that, you'd think the Conservatives might come up with, well, someone a bit different, but not a bit of it. All the signs are of another Eton boy for whom the streets of London really are paved with gold. And what is Labour's answer? We have Sadiq Khan, Jeremy Corbyn's mate. On one of the most important issues for London, he can't even make up his mind. At first, he supported Heathrow expansion, and now he says he's against it. We just don't know what he stands for, and judging by his recent record, neither does he. Now, London is a Liberal city, and over these coming months will show that London needs a Liberal mayor. And having worked for Londoners on the London Assembly for 8 years, I know my way around City Hall. And we Lib Dems know how to use the London Assembly to punch above our weight and get things done. And that's why I'm determined to see more Lib Dem Assembly members elected, standing up for every community in London. And together, we'll tackle London's housing crisis. We'll fight the election next year with a costed plan to build 50,000 new council homes. 50,000 council homes for 50,000 families. It's all part of our plan to meet London's housing need for the first time in a generation. And if London votes Lib Dem next year, our children and grandchildren will live in and walk past housing proudly bearing the name of the Greater London Authority. Just as social reformers in the London County Council and the GLC got on and built the homes Londoners needed in the 20th century, we Lib Dems will get on and build them in the 21st. And building decent housing is all part of our Liberal Democrat ambition to help everyone realise their talents to the full. For the same reason, we'll increase freedom for parents, with better childcare provision stretching into both ends of the day and covering school holidays too. And we'll work with employers to build a London where what matters is determined by what you do, not when you do it. A city where flexible working is the norm. And we'll modernise fares to encourage flexible working, bringing them down for those who travel to work at the crack of dawn to make our city work. And that would hugely improve the quality of life for millions of Londoners. And finally, we Lib Dems will always say no to clogging London's air and children's lungs with the lethal pollution a third runway at Heathrow would cause. You know, Heathrow's slogan is, "We're ready." Ours is, "We're ready for the fight." So, colleagues, we have a clear Liberal Democrat vision for these London elections. And I want that vision to spur us on, to knock on more doors, make more phone calls, share more messages online, and, yes, to deliver those leaflets too. Please join with me to build our party up, recruiting ever more members and more supporters. Join with me to offer Londoners a fresh start, and join with the whole London Assembly team to offer our Liberal city a Liberal voice right at its heart. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Boom, boom, boom. I'm disturbed from the TV as my best mate and flatmate is shouting to me. He shouts, "Zach, can you turn it down, please? I know you want to enjoy the full drama of Lib Dem conference, but the bass in Paddy Ashdown's voice, it's making the whole room shake." Whoops. That was my first experience of Lib Dem conference. As I watched on that screen years ago, I didn't think I would be addressing a packed-out hall tonight. My name's Zach Polanski, and this is a brief speech of a few firsts. Firstly, it's my debut speech at conference. I thought... thank you. Thank you. I thought I'd start when the room was quiet. It's also my first day as the new auditorium manager. I'm actually taking over from Hannah, who's stepping down from stewarding after a long 30 years of stewarding. Round of applause for Hannah. That's some big shoes to fill right there. And also, can I thank the whole stewarding team who are going to work tirelessly this week, all as volunteers to make sure we have the best Bournemouth 2015 possible. Thank you to you all. And finally, I'm delighted to announce that I'm a shortlisted candidate for the GLA elections. So this is my first, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be running on the team that are going to help to get Caroline Pidgeon into that mayor in City Hall, to get Assembly candidates and Liberal Democrats representing us in London. And I want to support everyone across England, Scotland and Wales in those vital elections that we're going to win in 2016. So how did I go from watching conference on TV to being stood here right now addressing you as an Assembly candidate? Well, part of the answer is soup. It was down to soup made by two wonderful ladies in Camden, Jill Fraser and Councillor Flick Ray. Wonderful. I arrived at an action day in Camden, and I was greeted with leaflets, lots of leaflets, some smiles, and some really good soup. It's not just about the soup, though. It's actually about the community spirit of people doing what they have with what they've got to make people feel included, to make campaigning fun, inclusive, and to support people in making a difference in their communities. For me, that lies both at the heart of local politics and what it means to be a Liberal Democrat. I saw this every day recently in Lee Baker. He was my wonderful campaign manager of my selection campaign. I can't thank him enough. And we spent hours phoning new members, recruiting new members to come out and help with the campaign. Francesca and Art, Suman, Anton, Drew, all coming with me just to listen to new members, to connect with people, listening to people, listening to their hopes and their fears for their community. All in a spirit of not doing things to a community, but empowering communities to make changes themselves. Thank you. In fact, I phoned over 2,000 new members personally and asked them why they've joined the party. Part of the answer is sitting right here in this room. When Nick told the nation, liberalism here, as well as in Europe, is not faring well against the politics of fear, Liberal Democrats refuse to be scared. And when Nick told the nation, noble tradition believes we are stronger together than weaker apart, 20,000 people said, you know what? We kind of agree. And when Nick told the nation our party will come back, our party will win again, it will take patience, resilience, and grit, we said their qualities we eat for breakfast. Because here's the thing, conference, we are coming back. We're winning by-elections again. Because if you take that patience, resilience, and grit, and you add some energy, some passionate determination, and a refusal to be knocked down, you can understand why we're sitting in the most well-attended Liberal Democrat conference in history. Thank you. You can understand why we're standing shoulder to shoulder with Tim when he tells the nation that he wants us to be proud of Britain on the world stage, that we want to be a nation that welcomes those who are vulnerable, those who are in need, and those fleeing persecution. I couldn't have been prouder to march alongside Tim last week in our capital as we said it loud and we said it clear, refugees are very welcome here. Conference. One of my favorite things about living in London connects absolutely with being a Liberal Democrat. It's in our DNA. It's about internationalism and diversity. I actually sing in a choir with 80 other members. They represent 52 countries from across the world continent, in every continent. Hey, guys. It's actually a gospel choir. And as a gay Jew who who grew up in Manchester, it might be an odd fit. But actually, this choir has Christians, it has Jews, atheists, Muslims, Catholics, there's humanists and Buddhists, and some of these guys would just consider themselves, well, Trekkies. Sadly, That's right, Luke. Sadly, the whole choir couldn't be here tonight because actually they're opening the Rugby World Cup in Twickenham. Indeed. After a coach that was faster than the speed of light, we just managed to make it. And we've decided that being smaller in size doesn't necessarily mean you need to have less of a voice. Right, Liberal Democrats? So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Naveen Alls and the London International Gospel Choir. This isn't in the script, but just why they set up. Guys, I consider the Liberal Democrats as a family, and I consider these guys a family too. So this is a strange metaphor, but to have my two families meet is quite a beautiful moment. So thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you very much. You ready? Fantastic. And then my family, because in this choir, everyone is welcome. No matter who you are, where you come from, or even kind of what you sound like, yet, through some hard work, Nav's training, and some good old-fashioned community spirit, in the last year, we performed on the X Factor Live final. We performed at the for the Red Cross at the O2. And last year, to my delight, we performed in Westminster. To my mild disappointment, we performed for David Cameron. I think the deputy was busy running the country, right, Nick? Liberal Democrats, let's remain proud of our party. Please welcome Kat.
I look into the window of my mind, reflections of the fears I know I've left behind. I step out of the ordinary, I can feel my soul ascending. I'm on my way, can't stop me now, and you can do the same, yeah. What have you done today to make you feel proud? It's never too late to try. What have you done today to make you feel proud? You could be so many if you make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel proud? There's still so many answers I don't know. There are so many answers. Realize that to question is how we grow. To question is to grow. So I step out of the ordinary. I can feel my soul ascending. I'm on my way, can't stop me now, and you can do the same, yeah. What have you done today to make you feel proud? It's never too late to try. What have you done today to make you feel proud? You could be so many people if you make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel proud? Yeah, we need a change, yeah. Do it today, yeah. I can feel my spirit rising, change, yeah. We need a change, yeah. Do it today, yeah. I can see a clear horizon. What have you done today to make you feel proud? What have you done today? What have you done today to make make you feel proud. Oh, you could be so many people. Just make that break for freedom. What have you done today to make you feel proud? Yeah, we need a change, yeah. Do it today, yeah. I can feel my spirit rising, change, yeah. We need a change, yeah. Do it today, yeah. I can see a clear horizon. What have you done today to make you feel proud?
Ladies and gentlemen, Kat Salmon. Thank you, Kat. You kicked us off in style. What have you done today to make you feel proud? What did we do in 5 years in government to make us proud, Liberal Democrat Conference? Let's start with Lynn Featherstone, leading the way to get equal marriage into law.
Sorry, Zach. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But do you really think the Lib Dems are fighting back?
Absolutely.
Okay, if the Lib Dems fight back, do you know what I'll do?
Go on.
I will eat my hat.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby.
If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far.
Don't worry, baby.
Just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. No, you don't have to worry, 'cause baby, there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Remember the day I set you free? I told you you could always count on me, darling. And from that day on, I made a vow I'll be there when you want me, some way, somehow. Know that there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe.
And no wind,
No wind,
and no rain,
no rain, no winter's cold can't stop me, baby. Oh, baby. 'Cause you are never in trouble. I'll be there on the double to see me. Oh, baby. Our love is alive deep down in my heart, although we are miles apart. If you ever need a helping hand, I'll be there on the double, just as fast as I can. Don't you know that there ain't no mountain high enough? Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Know that there ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't no valley low enough. Ain't no river wide enough to keep me from getting to you, babe. Ain't no mountain high enough.
Thank you. If this has been your first conference rally, yes, it's always a little bit like this. You've been fantastic, conference. Thank you so much. Let's make the most of Bournemouth 2015. Let's have a fantastic week together, and let's stay proud to be Liberal Democrats. If you've taken any fab pictures, please tweet the choir at LIG Choir. That's at LIG Choir. Thank you so much. This is our final song. Please clap, whoop, scream, cheer, dance, go crazy. Not too crazy, Shirley, wherever you are. Save that for Lib Dem Disco. See you all there.
The clock strikes upon the hour and the song begins to play. I'm spending my time figuring out how to chase my blues away. I had somebody up till now. It's the light of day that shows me how. And when the night falls somebody, with somebody who loves me. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody, with somebody who loves me. I've been in love and lost my senses, spinning through the town. Sooner or later the fever ends and I wind up feeling down. I need a man who'll take a chance on a love that burns hot enough to last. So when the night falls, my lonely heart calls. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel that heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody, with somebody who loves me. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody, with somebody who loves me.
Somebody, somebody.
Somebody who loves me, yeah.
Somebody,
To hold me in his arms. Oh, I need a man who'll take a chance on a love that burns hot enough to last. So when the night falls, my lonely heart cries. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. Yeah, with somebody who loves me. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Yeah, I wanna feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I wanna dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Don't you wanna dance?
dance,
With me, baby. Don't you wanna dance?
dance,
With me, boy. Don't you wanna dance?
dance.
With me, baby.
With somebody who loves me. Don't you wanna dance?
Dance.
Baby, don't you wanna dance?
Dance.
With me, boy. Don't you wanna dance?
Dance.
With me, baby. With somebody who loves me.
Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance?
Dance,
Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance?
dance,
Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance?
dance. With somebody who loves me. Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance? Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance? Don't you wanna dance? Say you wanna dance. Don't you wanna dance? With somebody who loves. Live and fight back. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for the London International Gospel Choir. Matthew Randall on keys, and our musical director, Mr. Naveen Arles. And I think for signing and some funky dancing, Claire Edwards too. Thank you, Claire, for all your hard work. And now a slight shift in tone, unless the next speaker knows he's about to sing. Our next speaker is a Liberal Democrat councillor. He's also the chief executive of ALDC and His team told me today he's learning to swim and is mastering the backstroke. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tim Pickstone. Thank you, Tim.
Well, how lucky are we, conference, to have the London International Gospel Choir? Wasn't that brilliant? So if there are those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim Pickstone. I am one of the 1,880 Liberal Democrat councillors that are such an important part of our party. Representing, as we do, millions of voters in the district, borough, city and county councils across Great Britain. But, conference, I do not need to tell anybody in this room that there are significantly less Liberal Democrat councillors than there were 6 years ago today. Not only is this bad for the areas that these Liberal Democrat councillors no longer represent and serve, no longer does it mean that these places now have less chance to be the liberal and progressive communities that we want them to be. But it also means that a significant part of our campaign capacity as a party has been taken away from us. But we can do something about this. Where I work at ALDC, the Liberal Democrat campaigners and councillors, one of the first things we did after those terrible results on the 7th of May was to set up a local by-election HQ at our offices in Manchester. And what I can tell you that since May, not only have we successfully defended 9 Lib Dem seats that have come up in local by-elections, but we've also gained 11 extra councillors. And I am very proud that our little volunteer phone bank that runs every Thursday night has been involved in telephone knocking up in most of those gains and defences. And a very warm welcome to those 20 new Liberal Democrat councillors, some of whom are here in Bournemouth this week. So 11 gains is great, isn't it? But it's not enough. I want more. We have so many elections facing us as Liberal Democrats every year, and every election is one where we can move forward and we can gain seats. So Tim Farron has appointed me as your national spokesperson on grassroots campaigning, and it's great that Tim is showing his very clear commitment to local campaigning by doing that. And in that role, I'm asking you to do 3 things, conference. Firstly, it's the campaign in your community. We need to get back to a party which is campaigning on issues, national and local, popular and sometimes unpopular, year-round and in every corner of our country. I can't tell you what to campaign on locally. You need to find out what's important in your community and find out what campaigns work for you. The one thing I will say is that we must never forget that we're Liberal Democrats and that our campaigning needs to be part of that wider narrative of creating a more liberal society and a more liberal world. The second thing I'm asking you to do, conference, is to lead. Campaigning and winning local elections at a local level doesn't happen by magic. It happens because somebody or a team goes back and makes it happen. So leadership can be big. It can be about somebody working and inspiring a team that takes control across a whole council area. Or it can be small. It can be the person that makes sure door knocking happens every Tuesday evening, come what may. So our conference, I need you to be those leaders. If this is your first conference, or you've been many times before, why not take time to attend some of the training about campaign techniques and winning ways that are on offer right through every day in Bournemouth. Take time to visit the ALDC stand, talk to the experts, talk to the advisors who will help you implement some of these ideas back home. And if you're serious about campaigning and winning, then I need you to join ALDC and I need you to do it while you're in Bournemouth. Absolutely. Thirdly, conference, this is about people, isn't it? We cannot do this campaigning and we cannot win without the members, activists and helpers that make up this great party of ours. It is great that we have so many members here, and it's great that so many new members are here with us in Bournemouth this week. As a party, we are made up of the enthusiasm that volunteer activists give us, and it is our role as leaders to ask, to recruit, to involve, to listen, to encourage and to train. Recruiting members is always an important conference. I want to tell you a story about the first time I recruited a member of the party and what happened. So I went to sixth form or FE College in Lancashire, and I was a proud member of the Union of Liberal Students, as it was called then. It was one of the smaller branches conference. In fact, there was only one member. So bravely, after a year, I sat behind a desk in what passed as a freshers' fair in those days, and lo and behold, some people joined. And before long, not only were we winning our first Students' Union elections together, but we were out in our local area helping campaign to get councillors elected. And the rest, as they say, is history. So conference, every member you recruit is important, and I'm very pleased to welcome onto the stage one of those new members who joined at that freshers' fair all those years ago. This member needs no introduction. They're not 16 anymore, but they have won a lot of elections since. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honour to welcome onto the stage somebody I am very proud to call the leader of the Liberal Democrats. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Farron MP.
Well, thanks, Tim, and thank you to Sal, thank you to Caroline, thank you to Zach, thank you to the London International Gospel Choir, who are outstanding and upstage me for certain, and thank you to Amy. I tell you what, last Wednesday was the 29th anniversary of Tim signing me up to join the party when I was 16. That is, 10 years now longer than you've been alive, Amy. And can I just tell you that in all of those 29 years, I haven't read all the manifesto either. So yeah, 29 years since Tim Pickstone signed me up at Runshaw College Society's Fair, and I never thought I'd end up leading that party that I joined that day. It's an extraordinary honour. Thank you very much. Now, I suppose like many of us, I often find myself harking back to that time, to those days, my formative teenage years. It was the 1980s, the Smiths, the Clash, the Young Ones, Mrs. Thatcher. No cheers for that one. And I'd been brought up, born in 1970, brought up on Blue Peter appeals, which, while good and worthy, attach no blame to anyone for the tragedies they raised money to alleviate. And then came Live Aid. And it was the first time anyone had suggested to me that poverty, disease and starvation were actually the result of bad politics rather than just being unfortunate. And I began to question what was happening in politics around me. I gave a couple of quid to the Live Aid appeal. I added a Greenpeace membership card to the one I already had for shelter. And when I went to sixth form college, I joined the Liberal Party. And I remember it now. It was September the 16th, 1986. The Communards were number one. Yeah, don't leave me this way. Blackburn Rovers were 12th in Division 2, a position we can only currently dream of. And indeed, a certain Tim Pickstone signed me up for £1.50. £1.50 was a big deal then. It could have bought me 2 pints instead, except, of course, I was 16, so obviously I wouldn't have done that. I remember going on endless marches in support of the miners, against the poll tax, in defence of student grants. I even remember some of our chants. What do we want? Slightly higher grants. When do we want them? As soon as it's fiscally responsible. We were cutting edge. So it was massive fun, and it led to defeat and failure. All that great energy, that sound and fury signifying nothing. We had no power, and no one was listening. It made us feel very good, but we didn't do any good. We had a great time, and we lost over and over and over again. When I think back to the 1980s and I compare that time with the last 5 years, I wouldn't swap them for the world. I want the Liberal Democrats. I want the Liberal Democrats to have power. Power to change lives for the better. Power was difficult, but our job is not to make life easy for ourselves. It is to make life better for Britain. "5 years, we made Britain better, and the proof is seen every day as the unshackled Tories make Britain poorer. Stand tall. Stand tall and know that we did much more than hold office. We made a difference, and I am utterly determined that we will do that again." So in the words of Midge Ure, no regrets. But since May, things have changed. Those last 5 years were difficult for us, but not as difficult as the last 5 months have been for everyone else. Difficult if you are under 25 and face losing housing benefit. Difficult if you are a working mum set to lose £1,000 a year because George Osborne has sneakily cut your income. Difficult if you run a solar energy firm as your staff face unemployment because Mr. Cameron decided to ditch what he thinks is the green crap. A couple of weekends ago, amidst all of that, I took a break and I took part in what we call the Grasmere Guides Race. And just to be clear, that's not Girl Guides. Okay? Guides is what we call shepherds in Westmoreland. So it's a fell race. And it's only about 2 miles in length, but it's a bit over 2,000 feet, or about 8,000 feet to be fair, up. The winner does it in 13 minutes. It took me 19 minutes just to get to the top. Anyway, I got to the top of Butter Crag, which is about halfway, and one of the marshals decided to let me know that I was in 130th place. And then just to rub it in, he added, "Still, there's 8 behind you." Which in your job is 1 more than normal. Anyhow, you get an astonishing view from the top of Butter Crag. When I look down into Grasmere village itself, I can see a handful of the 1,000 or so affordable homes that we have managed to build across my constituency. As a result, families have been kept together, young people have been able to get their first homes and their first jobs, and local industries have been able to find the workers they have needed to grow and to thrive. In fact, the homes we have been able to build have kept the wheels of our local economy moving, and without them, it would probably have been a very different story. But it is not enough. I don't want just to be able to change the lives for better in South Lakeland, or Bedford, or Watford, or Eastleigh, or any other parts of the country where Liberal Democrats hold power. I want to be able to change lives for the better, the length and breadth of this country. Which brings me back to the 1980s. Some of what Mrs. Thatcher did then was undoubtedly necessary. She was very good at tearing things down. The over-wielding power of the union bosses, old-fashioned industrial practices stuck in the past, public sector monoliths removed from the people that they served. But she created mass unemployment, dismantled our manufacturing base, de-skilling a generation, treated Scotland, the North, the West Country and Wales as second-class places, and sowed the seeds of division and separation that haunt us today. Now, we observe today interesting developments in the Labour Party, who seem to be suffering a collective bout of nostalgia for those times. And their nostalgia is not for the Morrissey quiff that some of us may or may not have had, or the Dr. Martens that some of us may or may not still have. Their nostalgia is for the fact that politics was fun, colourful and vibrant in the 1980s. They remember the camaraderie belonging to a crowd of zealous, committed, energetic people, the excitement of the picket line, the thrill of the protest march with a breathtaking soundtrack to back it all up. You need to just look at my record collection for proof that I was there. The 80s was an exciting time in politics, particularly for those on the progressive side of things. But then I also remember that there wasn't a single minute in the whole of the 1980s when the Tories weren't in power. I am nostalgic for my youth, but I am not nostalgic for the destruction of social housing. I am nostalgic for my youth, but I am not nostalgic for mass unemployment and the destruction of whole communities. I am nostalgic for my youth, but I am not nostalgic for those Labour economic policies which created the space for Margaret Thatcher to win in the first place and which kept her in power for a decade. When progressives choose to feel good at the expense of doing good, they let down the very people who need them the most. In 2015, I'm not having that. We are not having that. Look at what the Tories are doing, forcing housing associations to sell off the affordable homes we so desperately need to put roofs over the heads of those on the waiting list and to keep the economy moving. Opting out of their responsibilities to the refugees, made homeless in part by the illegal Iraq war that they themselves voted for, and taking us to the brink of exit. Taking us to the brink of leaving the European Union just at the time when we most need collective international action. So if Labour aren't interested in standing up to the Tories and providing a credible opposition, that is their funeral. The Liberal Democrats will fill that space. Radical and liberal and responsible too. When the tectonic plates of politics move, they sometimes move immensely quickly. That is what is happening now. These are momentous and historic times. History calls us. We will answer that call. Britain needs a party that is progressive, moderate, and liberal. We are that party. This is our moment. So, enough of the 80s. It wasn't until the 90s that I met Rosie, and not until the turn of the century that she became my wife. And incidentally, this is Rosie's first conference. She has previously decided that she had better things to do with her time. Why should I come to conference with you, she'd say. You'll only spend all night with your mates wearing your Blackburn shirt and drinking beer, which is a gross misrepresentation of the way I spent the last 50 conferences. Trust me, I'm a politician. Anyhow, on Christmas Eve 1998, I asked Rosie to marry me. The previous day, I had presumptuously scraped together all the money I had left, which was 19 quid, and bought an engagement ring. Now, I've offered to upgrade it several times since, but Rosie loves the fact that it cost me everything I had. Now, it is a true story, and though I say so myself, it is a lovely one, and therefore it's only right that I should completely spoil it by using it to crowbar in a political point. You see, I spent everything I had, but no more. I did it with passion and 100% commitment, and I went for it, and she said yes. And that is what Britain needs us to do now, to bring responsibility and passion to our politics, to do it with 100% commitment, and with a bit of luck, they'll say yes too. See what I did there? Seamless. Seamless. The need for a credible opposition has never been more obvious. And make no mistake, Labour has left the playing field. And that means that only we can provide it. Now, the Westminster machine won't always help us out. I'm only going to get a question at PMQs every week now, but I've thought of a way around it. I'm going to write to Jeremy. So, Next, Mr. Speaker, I have a letter from Tim from Cumbria. He wants to know all about land value taxation. But we will make our work mark in Westminster and in Holyrood and in the National Assembly in Wales, the London Assembly and the European Parliament, and we have dozens of parliamentarians who will stand up for decency, liberalism and common sense. We have hundreds of councillors working harder than ever to make a difference to the lives of the people around them, protecting schools and hospitals, promoting local transport and local services. And our growing strength lies throughout our country. With 20,000 new members. By their simple act of joining us, they proclaim that fear and division will not win, that liberalism can and must win. These are the first fruits of those millions of people in Britain who know in their hearts they are liberal and have stepped up to the mark to become Liberal Democrats. Britain is teeming with liberals. Most of them are not yet in the Liberal Democrats. Some of them are in other parties, but we are their home. We once again see the prospect of a decade or more of Tory rule, and it fills us with dread. So we have no right to sit in a comfort zone. Every family whose home is at risk because the Tories undermine the recovery that we built. Every desperate refugee turned back at the port. Every business facing ruin if we leave the EU, every one of them is depending on us. We are liberals. We correctly talk a lot about rights, but tonight we have a duty. Our duty is to claim the mantle of credible, progressive, alternative politics, alternative to the Tories. We accept that duty. I am fed up of losing. Let's win again. Thank you. Thanks a lot. See you later.
I can relax a little bit.
Yeah, come for a bit.
When you're doing your Q&A,
Yeah.